The galaxy had learned to fear humanity's silence. For 300 years, the Galactic Council had watched Earth's expansion with growing unease. Humans didn't conquer worlds, they transformed them. They didn't demand tribute, they offered partnership. And they never, ever stopped moving forward. Then, without warning, humanity went quiet. Admiral Krestor of the Vaxian Enforcement Fleet stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the blue-green world that had once been humanity's crown jewel. Earth floated in the darkness, silent and still. No ships. No transmissions. No signs of the civilization that had once threatened to reshape the entire galaxy. Scan again, Krestor ordered, his 4 arms crossed behind his back. Sir, the results are the same, his tactical officer replied. No active power signatures. No orbital platforms. The planet appears, abandoned. Abandoned. The word tasted wrong in Krestor's mind. Humans didn't abandon anything. They were the species that had turned a frozen moon into a garden world just to prove they could. They were the ones who had built cities inside asteroids and farms on gas giant moons. What about the rest of their colonies? Krestor asked. All silent, sir. Every human world from here to the outer reach. It's like they just vanished. Krestor's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. The Council had feared this moment for decades. Human technology had advanced so rapidly that even the oldest races couldn't keep pace. Human diplomacy had turned former enemies into allies within a single generation. Human culture had spread like wildfire through the galaxy, changing everything it touched. The Council had prepared for war. They had built fleets. They had formed alliances. They had watched and waited for the moment when humanity would finally reveal its true intentions. But they hadn't prepared for this. Sir. The communications officer's voice cracked with urgency. We're receiving a transmission. It's coming from Earth. Put it through. The view screen flickered to life, showing a figure Krestor recognized immediately. Ambassador Chen, humanity's representative to the Galactic Council. She looked older than the last time he'd seen her, her hair now completely gray, but her eyes held the same sharp intelligence. Admiral Krestor, she said, her voice calm and measured. I wondered when you would come. Ambassador Chen. Where is everyone? What has happened to your people? Chen smiled, but there was sadness in it. We left, Admiral. Almost all of us. We gave you exactly what you wanted. I don't understand. Yes, you do. Chen's expression hardened. For 3 centuries, we tried to be good neighbors. We shared our technology. We helped rebuild worlds devastated by war. We offered friendship to species who had never known peace. And in return, the Council watched us with fear. They built weapons to use against us. They held secret meetings to discuss the human problem. Krestor felt his skin plates shift uncomfortably. Everything she said was true. We knew, Chen continued. Of course we knew. Human intelligence networks are very good at their jobs. We knew about the fear. The plans. The contingencies. So we made a choice. What choice? We left the galaxy, Admiral. 98% of humanity packed up everything we could carry and departed for the void between galaxies. We're going to find a new home, far away from species who will never trust us. The bridge fell silent. Krestor's mind raced. That's impossible. The distance alone is well within our capabilities, yes. Chen's smile returned, colder this time. You were so busy watching us, you never realized just how far ahead we'd gotten. Faster-than-light technology that makes your best ships look like ancient sailing vessels. Life support systems that can sustain populations for millennia. Energy sources that will never run dry. Then why are you still here? Someone had to stay behind to deliver the message. To explain why humanity chose exile over integration. Chen leaned forward. And to warn you, Admiral. Warn us. The galaxy is a dangerous place. Humanity has spent 300 years making it safer. We've stopped wars. We've mediated conflicts. We've held back threats you never even knew existed. Her eyes locked onto his. Now you're on your own. Crestor felt ice forming in his blood. What threats? Check your long-range sensors, Admiral. Focus on Sector 447. His tactical officer moved quickly, fingers dancing across controls. Then the officer's face went pale. Sir. I'm reading massive energy signatures. Thousands of ships. Unknown configuration. They're moving toward Council space. The Devourers, Chen said quietly. We've been holding them at bay for 70 years. Without us, they'll reach your core worlds in about 6 months. Why didn't you tell us? We tried. The Council dismissed our warnings as fear-mongering. Said we were trying to make ourselves indispensable. Chen stood. So now you'll face them alone. Maybe you'll win. Maybe you won't. Either way, it's no longer our problem. You're condemning billions. We're leaving you to face the consequences of your own choices. Chen's voice was firm. Goodbye, Admiral. I hope you survive what's coming. The transmission ended. Crestor stood frozen, staring at the empty screen. Behind him, alarms began to sound as long-range sensors confirmed what Chen had told them. An armada beyond counting, moving like a plague across the stars. The galaxy had learned to fear humanity's silence. Now they would learn to fear their absence even more. The Galactic Council chamber had never been designed for panic. Its architects, millennia ago, had envisioned a place of calm deliberation. Smooth walls of polished stone curved upward to a dome painted with the stars of 1,000 worlds. Seats arranged in perfect circles, each species equal in the eyes of the Council. Now those seats trembled as delegates shouted over one another. This is humanity's doing, roared Chancellor Vixmal, his scales flushed dark with rage. They unleashed these devourers as revenge for our caution. Ridiculous, snapped Councillor Thran, her crystalline form pulsing with agitation. The humans saved us from threats for decades. We were just too proud to acknowledge it. Admiral Crestor stood at the central podium, his report still glowing on the chamber's display screens. 3 weeks had passed since Ambassador Chen's transmission. 3 weeks of watching the Devourer fleet advance like a rising tide of destruction. Order. High Chancellor Mortex's voice cut through the chaos. The ancient Quellan raised one of his 6 hands, and silence fell. Admiral Crestor, what are our military options? Crestor took a breath. Limited, High Chancellor. We've analyzed the Devourer ships. Their technology is unlike anything in our databases. Their hulls absorb our weapons' fire. Their shields regenerate faster than we can damage them. And they outnumber our combined fleets 10 to 1. What about the human defensive installations? Fren asked. Surely they left something behind we could use. We've investigated every former human military station we could find, Crestor replied. They took everything. Every weapon. Every ship. Every piece of advanced technology. All that remains are empty platforms and databases wiped clean. Vixmal slammed his fist against his console. Then we negotiate. We offer the Devourers anything they want. We tried, said Councillor Pren quietly. The hive mind representative spoke rarely, making every word carry weight. We sent 12 diplomatic ships. None returned. The Devourers don't communicate. They only consume. The chamber fell silent again. High Chancellor Mortex's ancient eyes surveyed the Council. Then we must ask the question none of us wants to voice. Can we find the humans? Can we bring them back? They said they went beyond the galaxy, Krestor said. Even with our fastest ships, it would take decades to search. Sir. A junior officer burst into the chamber, protocol forgotten. Long-range communications detected a transmission. It's from Ambassador Chen again. Every delegate leaned forward as the view screen activated. Chen appeared, but she wasn't on Earth anymore. Behind her, Krestor could see a ship's bridge, sleek, efficient, humming with power that made his sensors ache just looking at it. "Greetings, Council," Chen said. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "I'm transmitting from the colony ship New Dawn, currently 3 million light-years from the galactic rim. We've been monitoring your situation. Then you know we're facing extinction." Vixmal shouted. "You must help us." Chen's expression didn't change. "Must we, Chancellor? The same council that held secret meetings about containing humanity? That built weapons specifically designed to counter our ships? That rejected every warning we gave about external threats? We were wrong," High Chancellor Mortex said simply. The admission seemed to age him another century. "We let fear guide us instead of wisdom. We saw your strength and imagined only danger. For this, I offer the Council's apology." "An apology," Chen repeated softly. "Do you know what it cost us to leave? Billions of humans were born in this galaxy. Earth was our cradle. The colonies were our home. We abandoned graves, memories, entire cultures because staying meant living under constant suspicion." "Please," Thren said, her crystalline voice breaking. "Not all of us feared you. Some of us tried to speak in your defense. Some of us called for partnership, not containment." "I know," Chen said, and for the first time, emotion cracked through her composure. "Counselor Thren, you were always a friend to humanity. You and others like you are why I'm even having this conversation." Krestor felt hope flare in his chest. "Then you'll return? You'll help us fight?" "No," Chen said flatly. "Humanity will not return to the galaxy. That decision is final." The hope died. "However," Chen continued, "we're not monsters. Despite everything, we remember the good times. The species who welcomed us. The individuals who stood up for us. The children of every race who learned to dream bigger because of what we showed them." She pressed something off-screen. "I'm transmitting coordinates to a cache we left behind. Inside, you'll find detailed intelligence on the Devourers, weaknesses we discovered, tactical patterns, communication protocols. You'll also find schematics for weapons that can hurt them." "Why hide this from us?" Krestor asked. "We didn't hide it, Admiral. We gave you access codes 3 years ago, buried in a public database. We wanted to see if you'd trust us enough to look." Chen's smile was bitter. "You never did. Will it be enough?" Mortex asked. "Can we win?" "That depends on you," Chen said. "The weapons require cooperation. Species sharing technology. Old enemies trusting each other. Unity." She paused. "All the things you feared humanity would force upon you. Now you'll have to choose them yourselves." The transmission began to fade. "Ambassador." Thren called out. "Will we ever see humanity again?" Chen's image flickered, already distant. "Perhaps. In a few thousand years, when you've grown. When you've learned that fear makes poor policy." Her final words echoed through the chamber. "Prove you deserved us as neighbors. Survive." The screen went dark. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then High Chancellor Mortex stood, his aged body straightening with new purpose. "Retrieve those coordinates," he commanded. "And summon every species in the galaxy. If humanity gave us the tools to survive, then we will use them. We will prove ourselves worthy of the gift." Krestor looked at the star maps showing the approaching Devourer fleet. The real test was just beginning. The Battle of Seven Stars would be remembered as the moment the galaxy chose to live. Admiral Krestor stood on the bridge of the Unity's stand, watching the Devourer fleet approach like a wall of darkness blotting out the stars. Behind him, the combined armada of the Galactic Council held position, every species, every ship, every soldier standing together for the first time in recorded history. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his tactical officer announced. Krestor studied the formation. Vaxian heavy cruisers anchored the center. Thren's crystalline fighters danced in intricate patterns along the flanks. Quellan carriers deployed wave after wave of drone ships. Even the Hive's organic vessels, pulsing with bioluminescent power, held their positions with precision. 5 months had passed since Chen's transmission. 5 months of species that had warred for millennia learning to fight as one. The human cache had given them weapons, but they'd had to learn cooperation on their own. It hadn't been easy. "Sir, receiving transmission from the Crystal Harmony," communications reported. Counselor Thren's face appeared on screen, visible from her command ship. "Admiral, my scouts report the Devourers are beginning their attack pattern. Same as the simulations." Just as the humans predicted, Krestor acknowledged. Everything had been in that cache: battle patterns, weakness points, even psychological profiles of how the Devourers thought. Humanity had studied their enemy for 70 years, and that knowledge was now the galaxy's only hope. "All ships," Krestor broadcast across every channel. "Remember your training. Trust your allies. For our worlds, for our future, engage." The space between stars erupted in fire. Devourer ships surged forward, their organic metal hulls absorbing the first wave of conventional weapons just as predicted. But the human-designed pulse cannons that followed punched through, exploiting microscopic weak points in the enemy's armor. Shields that had seemed invincible collapsed under specific frequency combinations. "It's working," someone shouted. But Krestor saw the numbers. For every Devourer ship destroyed, they lost 3. The enemy had numbers, and numbers mattered. "Phase 2, he ordered. "Thren, execute the prism maneuver." Across the battlefield, Thren's crystalline ships formed a perfect geometric pattern. Energy weapons from a dozen different species converged on the crystalline vessels, which refracted and amplified the beams into a single devastating lance of pure destruction. The combined blast tore through Devourer formations like paper. Chancellor Vixmal's voice crackled over communications. "Hive mind vessels, you're up." The organic ships released clouds of engineered organisms, another human gift. Microscopic machines that attached to Devourer hulls and disrupted their regeneration. For the first time, damaged enemy ships stayed damaged. The battle raged for hours. Ships died by the hundreds. Brave crews made final stands. Heroes emerged from species that had never before fought side by side. And slowly, impossibly, the tide began to turn. "Sir." The tactical officer's voice trembled with disbelief. "The Devourer command ship is retreating." Krestor watched as the massive vessel, larger than a moon, began to withdraw. Around it, the surviving Devourer ships broke formation and fled into the darkness between stars. The galaxy had won. The bridge erupted in cheers, but Krestor felt only exhaustion. They'd survived, but the cost had been staggering. Nearly 40% of their fleet destroyed. Billions spent on weapons and training. Countless lives lost. All because they'd been too afraid to trust humanity when it mattered. 3 years later. High Chancellor Mortek stood in what had once been the Council's archives, now converted into a memorial. Holographic images floated in the air, faces of the fallen from every species, forever young, forever remembered. "They deserved better," Counselor Thren said softly, joining him. "They deserved a galaxy that had listened to humanity's warnings," Mortex replied. "They deserved leaders wise enough to see friends instead of threats." "We've changed," Thren said. "The Unity Accords have held. Former enemies now share technology freely. We've established joint research stations. We're becoming what humanity tried to teach us to be. Mortex nodded slowly. And yet they're still out there, in the void, believing we'll never change. Then perhaps it's time we prove them wrong. The old chancellor turned to her. What are you suggesting? The explorer's hope, Thren said. My people have been building it for 2 years. A ship designed for one purpose, to find humanity and show them what we've become. That could take decades. Centuries. Then it takes centuries. Thren's crystalline form pulsed with determination. They gave us the gift of survival. The least we can do is say thank you. 50 years later. Deep in the void between galaxies, the colony ship New Dawn detected an approaching vessel. Alarms rang. Weapons powered up. Then the sensors identified the ship's configuration. Galactic Council design. Unarmed. Broadcasting a message on repeat. Ambassador Chen, now ancient but still sharp, stood on the bridge as her great-grandchildren played at her feet. Play the message, she ordered. A hologram appeared, a young Quellan officer, not Mortex, who had passed decades ago. Greetings, humanity. My name is Coordinator Kel 9. I represent the Unity Assembly, formerly the Galactic Council. We know you chose exile because we failed you. We know we don't deserve forgiveness. But we wanted you to know, we survived. We learned. We became worthy of the gift you left us. The message showed images of the galaxy transformed. Former war zones now peaceful. Species working together. Monuments to human friendship on 1,000 worlds. We're not asking you to return, the Quellan continued. We just wanted to say thank you. And to tell you that if humanity ever needs friends, you have an entire galaxy waiting. Chen watched the message end, tears flowing freely down her weathered face. Around her, the bridge crew stood silent. Reply? Her communications officer asked softly. Chen smiled. Tell them we'll think about it. Tell them we're proud of what they've become. She looked out at the stars of a distant galaxy, humanity's new home. And tell them, she added, that they were always worthy. They just had to believe it themselves. The message transmitted, crossing the vast darkness between galaxies. A bridge, finally built on trust instead of fear.